my client, Brian, and he's one of those guys who really enjoys exercising and working out. And he'd go to the gym about 4 or 5 times a week. He got into a new relationship and he was really excited about the relationship, and they started spending a lot of time together. But what he would do is he'd make sure that he still went to the gym. And as they were spending more time together, she would come over to his place and he would go over to her place. And when she would come over to his place, after a few months, there was a night where she wasn't feeling well. And she asked Brian, hey, do you mind if you stay over? Because I'm not feeling great. Can you skip the gym for me? It's Friday evening, and she said, we can just watch Netflix and chill. He said, sure, no problem. He puts his gym bag down, and then they cut up on the sofa and they're watching the TV. No problem, he thought. So next few weeks, what he noticed was this wasn't just the one-off occurrence. After a few weeks, she did the same thing again. She said, look, hey, Brian, I'm not feeling great. I've got a bit of a headache. I will love it if we can just spend a bit more time together. And again, Brian complying and said, okay, cool. And he kind of put his gym bag down and kind of skipped the gym again. And he noticed a pattern. When he's about to leave and exit the door, she would just ask him, please, can you stay? Now, when this happened a few more times, he just started to get a little bit resentful. He started to get a little bit annoyed from the fact that, okay, why does she do it every time I'm about to leave? And Brian, being the kind of like the polite, nice guy, he wasn't the kind of confrontational guy. He didn't want to confront this. So he'd just cave in and then kind of started to mutter under his voice and like, oh God, I have to do this again. And he started to get annoyed rather than just deal with the situation. And over time, he started to get more and more annoyed. And that's when he came to me and said, Faisal, I've just started dating this girl and I'm getting really frustrated because every time I want to go to the gym, she's not well, or she just wants me to spend time with her. And I said to him, why do you do that? And he said, well, I feel really guilty. I feel really awful that she's not well. And I don't want her to I don't want her to feel bad because, I want her to be happy and I'll do anything to make her happy. I said, okay, is it critical that every time she's sick or every time she's unwell, is it critical? He goes, no, she just, down in the weather. She's not feeling great. And then she just asked me to stay home. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, well, most of the time, he goes, I'm happy if she's really sick, but she's not in a situation that she's really ill. And I said, what do you want to do? He said, I want to go to the gym. I said, okay, this is what you do. Stick to your original plan. If she is unwell, fine, you will be there to look after her. But what you got to demonstrate is you're not the kind of man that easily is persuaded, easily moved and manipulated. Because the moment you cave in because of someone's discomfort, someone's disapproval, someone's not happy, and then you cave in just to pacify them, just to please them, that's the moment you will show that you're easily pushed around and manipulated. And the moment you do that is the moment she will lose respect for you. And the more and more you do this, her respect will start corroding away. It'll start eroding and it gets lower and lower. And that then will then turn into frustration. That'll turn into anger afterwards over time. And she'll be like, how dare you don't say no to me? Women love it when men say no because they're saying no to being manipulated and yes to their principles. And that is key. You got to be able to say yes and uphold the principles. And you got to do it for the right reason. That's what she's testing you. Is the guy going to stick to the right things for the right reasons at the right time? Or is he the kind of guy that will easily get pushed around and persuaded by the people? Because in her mind, she's thinking, well, if I can push you around and if I can manipulate you, and then you're in a circumstances where you're with your other women are around, they can also easily push you around and manipulate you. And that weak man, that whatever you call them, beta males or simps, those kind of guys are easily pushed around by stronger individuals. And when that happens, that's a moment that women will say, I have no respect for this guy. Now, she may stay in the relationship and hoping that things will turn around and hoping that you will reclaim your balls and have your masculinity back with you and not with anybody else. See, when you're easily pushed around, that means your emotional center is not with you, it's with them. So they have charge of your life and they're controlling you, right? Like a remote control through their emotions. They can manipulate you. And a guy who's easily manipulated, pushed around because he feels extremely guilty and feels that I don't want to experiences guilt anymore. I don't want them to be sad, upset, disapproving of me. Those are the men that are left at the bottom of the chain. They are the guys who then women say, I don't want those guys. They're not men. They're boys. I want a real man. A real man has the courage, the capacity to say no, has the courage and capacity to say what is important to him, the purpose, the world. And those are the men that are respected. So if you're not getting any respect, if you're not getting any admiration, any kind of love and attention, and you're getting more nagging, you're getting more frustration, is because you are the type of guy who's demonstrated that I can be easily just pushed around by emotions. And of course, we want to be empathetic. We want to be able to understand the emotions as well, but we don't want it to let you. It is unadvisable for emotions just to push you around. Guys with deep roots are the ones who are stronger, and they are the ones who stand principles. So being pushed around, being manipulated is the most unattractive thing, and that's going to harbor a lot more resentment from your side, and it's going to harbor a lot of bitterness and hate towards you because you're allowing yourself to be manipulated. Guys, if you are this guy who gets pushed around by women, then it's important that you start to work on your emotional. I call it the emotional fracture. This is a fracture in the emotions. This is the area that you really need to work on. How do we work on that? You separate yourself, your emotions from their emotions. So you never take on their emotions. Let them have their experience. This is the most important thing. Let people experience their emotions. Whatever they're going through, that's their emotions. You can be the observer of their emotions, but you don't have to be the responsible for their emotions. There are many things that you might say or do and people might get upset about it. It might be their upset, it might be their journey. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have any introspection about the way we're showing up, how we're affecting the world, but the most important thing is we're not ruled by other people's opinions and emotions that they can constantly push you around. You don't want that guy who's the chameleon, who adapts to everybody else's emotions. So usually in group dynamics, you will see this. It's a guy who's got really poor emotional regulation for himself. What you'll notice is that whatever somebody else is experiencing, for example, in a group dynamic, that he'll blend in with the group. He'll go with their principles, with their philosophy, even if he hates the group and what they stand for. They could be, and I've done this before as well, just to try and fit into a group, you'll just go along with the whole group dynamic. And you might, if the group is, I remember there's one group that I tried too hard to fit in. I'll laugh at jokes that I didn't find funny. I have opinions. They weren't my opinions, but they were like the group leader's opinions. And I'd go along with those opinions in order to fit in and belong. And that's the worst place for a guy to be. That's a guy that doesn't get respected. He carves his own opinions, his own worth, his own sense, and it comes from internally. And it doesn't mean that he can't learn from the outside world, but he has to figure his own path out. And this is something that I had to go through as well, figuring my own path out, what's important to me, what I like, what I don't like, and then having the courage to be disliked, having the courage to be alone, having the courage to be shamed, having the courage to be criticized. But the most important thing is having the courage to stand up and be your own self and not allow other people to push you around. So working on having these courage muscles and separating yourself from other people's emotion is how you start the process. And then learning of what's important to you and sticking to what's important to you. One of the things I do with the guys, I do this, I have a group called the squad group. And in the group, what we have is we have weekly habits. So every day we will do habits, and every week we will have an accountability. And the accountability just shows and reflects, and it gives us insights into what are the things that we have stuck to, and what are the things, challenged us, what are the things that we did really well. But it just shows us that it gives us an audit. It gives us a review every week of these are the things I stuck to. And the more you stick to things, I don't expect anyone to get 100%, but the more you stick to these things, the more you'll be grounded and rooted in those, in the principles. And those are the guys that get less pushed around. And those guys who get less pushed around are super attractive and desired and respected by men. And they're also respected by women. So, gentlemen, don't get pushed around. Function from your own central core. Because when you do, not only are you happier and more satisfied and less resentful in the world, people will really respect you.